Shalom everyone. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, and through that strength, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Parashat B'har, Tafshin Pei Daled. The mitzvah of Shemitah in Parashat B'har has two sides, a side of Ben Adam LaMakom and a side of Ben Adam LaChavero. Ben Adam LaMakom, it's called Shabbat LaHashem. And on the year of the Yovel, the Jubilee, when the fields that were sold return to their original owners, the Torah says that we cannot sell fields permanently because everything belongs to Hashem. Ben Adam LaChavero, the fruits of the seventh year are eaten equally by everyone, and the people who were slaves return on the year of the Yovel to their homes, and fields that were sold return to their original owners. All of these create financial and social equality. In the past, we have underlined the connection between these two sides of certain mitzvot. If I understand that I am not the owner of the world is not mine. I live in Hashem's world, that gives me strength to share Hashem's world with other people who, like me, live in Hashem's world. But today I'd like to stress that the continuation of Parashat B'har is about social mitzvot. If a person is getting weaker financially and he has to sell his land or his home, we have a mitzvah to try and redeem it and return it to him. If he's weakening financially, we should be able to hold him up, keep him stable, not let him fall, not let him deteriorate. If a person has to sell himself to be a slave, we don't treat him as a slave. We treat him as an oved, not as an eved, as a worker, not as a slave. At the end of the parasha, we find a situation where a Jew sells himself as a slave because he doesn't have any other choice to a non-Jew. Once again, we have a mitzvah, if we can, to redeem him from that situation. And then at the end of the parasha, there are two more psukim that we don't understand what is their connection to the parasha. The last two psukim include commandments not to perform avodah zarah, to keep Shabbat, and to be fearful, be in awe of Beit HaMikdash, u'mikdashi tirau. What do these two psukim, these mitzvot, have to do with all of the parasha? Rashi brings midrashim that say that this relates to the last issue that we had in the parasha. A Jew who is forced to sell himself to be a slave by a non-Jew. We are afraid that this slave with his non-Jewish master is going to perform avodah zarah because of his master. He's not going to be able, or he's going to be carried away not to keep Shabbat and to lose connection with the center of Jewish Kedusha, Beit HaMikdash. So the Torah is saying to us, if you are forced to be in that situation, be careful. Don't perform avodah zarah. Keep Shabbat, keep connected to the Kedusha of Am Yisrael. And just before these psukim, the Torah said, Ki avadayhem, don't forget, even if you're sold to be a slave of a non-Jew, don't forget that really, avadayhem, you are a slave of Hashem. Rabbi Ovadia Sforno takes this idea and connects it to all of Am Yisrael. When Am Yisrael goes into exile and is enslaved by other nations, and we're afraid that you're going to be carried away by other nations' culture and religion, don't forget avadayhem, don't forget that you are Jews. Also, when we're in Eretz Yisrael, we have international connections with other nations for good reasons, for political reasons, whatever the reasons are. We have to beware. We have to be wary that we don't lose our Jewish identity and get carried away with other nations. I'm not one to say that everything that comes from other nations is negative, but we certainly have to be aware of our Jewish and religious identity and not to be carried away with other cultures and religions without being careful to make sure that what we take from other nations is in line with our Jewish identity. So what is the general picture that comes out of the parasha? If a person is weakening, we have to hold him up. It's an issue of social solidarity. It's a time of a test for us. If we don't keep our social solidarity, we will weaken as a society. We will weaken our political power, our financial power. Everything is going to fall. And at the end, our religious power is going to fall. It is our responsibility to keep up our values. And look how we came back to the beginning, to the connection between the social and the religious values. If we keep our social values, we will stay strong and our Jewish identity will stay strong. If we allow ourselves not to have this solidarity on the social and financial level, then we will all weaken, and our Judaism, our Jewish and our religious identity will also weaken. Even if that happens, the parasha says to us, you are avadai, you are my slave, says Hashem. And some of the commentators say that saying, Hashem says, I don't give up on you. I will redeem you. But let's not count on Hashem redeeming us. Let's not fall. Let's keep our social solidarity. Let's keep our social values that will give us our financial and national strength, and it will also allow us to keep strong in our Jewish and religious identity. Shabbat Shalom.